Good evening and welcome to the very first WrestleScopeTV Live. I'm John. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight here on WrestleScopeTV on YouTube. You can follow me on TikTok, WrestleScopeTV, also on Twitter at TV_Wrestle. This will hopefully be a weekly feature here. Not sure if it's going to be Saturday night. Still working everything out since it's the first time doing this. Going to be a weekly feature, though. Talking about everything in the world of professional wrestling. Right now, I'll be quite honest with you, it's going to be heavily focused on WWE and NXT. Want to get doing more with AEW and maybe some other things, Impact, Ring of Honor, NWA, as we get going with things. But what I want to do is talk about some of the key news from this past week. Obviously going to give predictions for this coming Sunday's, tomorrow night's NXT TakeOver 31. Very interesting card. Going to be quite difficult, honestly, to pick what I think is going to end up happening, but we'll see. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. There may be some interruptions coming into the room here, into my my studio / office, and I apologize about the camera. Working right now on updating the camera here to get things going better. So thank you. Go ahead and jump in with the chats here as well. I do have my Patreon link there. Something that I just started up here within the last week. WrestleScope is pretty much new. On TikTok, I've been doing it for probably about 2 months now. And I've gotten a great following there. Excited for what we're going to be able to do with this channel in the upcoming weeks, months, years. Who knows? We'll see. So let's start off with talking about this past week's Raw and SmackDown coming out of Clash of Champions, which was an okay pay-per-view. It was okay. I consider it to be middle of the road. Best thing to come out of it, honestly, was the Roman Reigns Jey Uso match for the Universal title. That whole storyline is just absolutely fantastic right now. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes, talking about SmackDown. But right now, the way the character of Roman Reigns is going, I absolutely love it. Fantastic with his work with Paul Heyman. And the great thing is Paul Heyman really isn't the focal point of that. He's kind of in the background, unlike with Brock Lesnar, where he is the mouthpiece, where he is the focal point of everything, and then Brock Lesnar goes out and destroys people. Roman Reigns lets Paul talk a little bit, but we saw it last night on SmackDown that he wants to get his point across himself. He is just the special advisor. That's actually not the exact title that he has. I forget what the exact title is, but I love the direction they're going. I wasn't sure how it was going to work out when he first came back at SummerSlam, but now as things have been developing, it just gets better and better every week. And I don't know what the cap is going to be for Roman Reigns here. It just keeps getting better. Really, the rest of that pay-per-view, I just was not really thrilled with. And obviously some things had happened last week. COVID-19 had taken out both, actually all three, Nikki Cross, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, which really changed everything. You had Bayley ended up taking on Asuka, which really wasn't a match. It was just thrown together, and it gave Sasha Banks the opportunity to come back, which I will address that very shortly here too. But honestly, I think they're dropping the ball right now with the Bayley-Sasha Banks storyline. I think they're fast-tracking it, and I'm not really happy about it. So the women's division was really a mess at Clash of Champions. Then you had Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton in a very entertaining ambulance match, but you had legends like Ric Flair, Christian, Big Show, and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels come back and get involved in the match. Ric Flair really didn't get involved until the very end, driving away the ambulance, but you had Big Show, HBK, and Christian all physically getting involved, which I think took away from really how strong Drew McIntyre has been over the last couple of months. And now this whole feud is getting stretched out even further. It's going to go to Hell in a Cell. We saw one of the dumbest closes to a Monday Night Raw this past Monday with Randy Orton and his fake night vision goggles, which somebody, I can't credit it. I don't remember who it was, that basically came out and said what he was wearing was actually welder's glasses, which are actually supposed to darken things, not make them lighter. The way I would have booked that, okay, you've got the legends, you've got their poker game and whatever. And what I would have done, instead of Randy Orton sneaking back in, dressed as a janitor, putting on the goggles, turning off the lights, you have Randy Orton come in. You have him grab the cameraman and say, hey, wait right here. He goes in the room, shuts the door. The camera does not go in with him. He goes in, and all of a sudden you just hear tables and chairs and everything flying everywhere else. And Randy walks out, looks at the camera and said, all right, Drew, now your play. The camera runs in and you see the destruction. You don't actually see Randy Orton doing it, but you see the aftermath. You don't have this whole stupid thing where he's dressed up as the janitor and, gee, magically there's a camera in there and everything else. It just looked really stupid. That makes Randy Orton look even more badass. It protects Show and HBK and Flair and Christian from physically getting involved in anything, and it extends the storyline. So Monday Night Raw coming out of Clash of Champions was mediocre. It really was. And two things that were missing: Retribution, minus the one video promo and the lights going out once at the Hurt Business in their match. They weren't there, and that's because all 5 main members of Retribution are also on the 14-day quarantine list because of close contact with somebody that has COVID-19. And then you don't have Raw Underground with Shane McMahon, and all the reports of that are based off of the fact that there are multiple NXT and developmental talents that are involved in it, and NXT and the Performance Center has been shown to have an outbreak of COVID-19. So they had to scrap that for the week. So really the show was just an absolute mess. And Dave Meltzer had reported on Monday evening again that this was another one of those shows that Vince had ripped up most of the script a couple of hours before the broadcast began. So everything was just a crapshoot. Typical Vince McMahon. We fast forward to Friday night Smackdown, and it opened with one of the probably the best promo Roman Reigns has ever done. It was supposed to be the coronation ceremony of the tribal chief, and the very, I don't want to say demure, but almost downplaying, somber in a way, humble Paul Heyman speaks for about a minute, and all of a sudden, it's not Roman Reigns telling him to stop. It's not Roman Reigns grabbing the microphone for him. It's Roman Reigns sticking out his hand and showing that he wants the microphone. And he goes, he goes into one of the best, probably the best promo he's ever done. Talking about Jey Uso and how he didn't want to do what he did and really almost playing humble, almost playing sorrowful, but then also playing it off as, I'm the heel, that it's your fault that I did what I did. And then Jey Uso comes out, and all he does for the entire time is just stare at that Universal title and basically saying, I don't know who you are, Us. You're my family, but you sure as heck didn't treat me like family. And it leads to what is going to be a Hell in a Cell match for the Universal title. Excuse me for a second. And we don't know what the stipulation is going to be. Roman Reigns says there's going to be some sort of a stipulation that is going to be basically life-changing, earth-shattering for Jey Uso. I don't know what to speculate. I've heard a couple of rumors. Nobody really knows. It could be if Jey loses, he has to leave WWE. I think the better one, and Pete Quinnell, I believe it was Pete Quinnell from Wrestle Talk, had said on his SmackDown review today on their YouTube and on their website that it should be Jey Uso giving up his naming rights in the family, that he'd no longer be an Uso. He'd no longer be a part of the Anoa'i family. And that would be huge. And I could see this being played up, as Roman is really taking over the family. It starts with Jey. Then it goes to Jimmy, in a month or two's time when he's cleared to wrestle. And that leads to the Roman versus Rock matchup at WrestleMania, where the family name is on the line. And quite honestly, if they go ahead and do that, I see the torch being passed from The Rock to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Rock does not need the Universal title. This will be literally a blood match, and I'm excited for that. The other thing that I really loved at SmackDown was the KO show, the Kevin Owens show with Alexa Bliss. A lot of people have been complaining about, well, why did KO come over from Raw? The whole, quarterly brand extension, whatever the heck they're calling it. He was the perfect guy to interview Alexa Bliss in this time, and this is what's going on, because, he could be loud and boisterous, he could be funny, he could be deadpan serious, and he was deadpan serious when he said, listen, I've known you for a long time, and I've seen a change in you. I've really seen a change in you. And those two played off of each other perfectly. And Alexa Bliss, again, just like Roman Reigns with his heel turn, she has just taken control of this character and this storyline with everything she's done. You look at last week on SmackDown when you had Roman Reigns and Alexa Bliss cross paths as she was leaving the ring and he was coming out, and just that stare, that evil, cold, dark stare she gave him in the background. She is playing this perfectly. And, she talks about how, yes, I've been brainwashed. My brain has been washed. The Fiend is helping me see things that I've never seen before. And KO, comes out and says, he's here, isn't he? I know what's going to happen. He's going to come out here. And Alexa Bliss says he's everywhere. And then the lights go out. You hear the music and lights come back on. And the Fiend has the mandible claw on KO, takes him out, gets up, and he looks over at Alexa Bliss, who that entire time was just sitting in her chair, staring at what was going on. Then, much like when Roman Reigns stuck his hand out for the microphone, the Fiend holds his hand out, and Alexa Bliss takes his hand. And then again, the key thing, the camera work, she looks into the camera, and this time it wasn't that deep, evil, dark stare. It was almost a sinister smile on her face. I absolutely loved that. Then the rest of the show sucked. I'm sorry. SmackDown dropped the ball big time with everything else. They're carrying on this Miz and Otis lawsuit thing, which is just stupid. You've got a 6-man tag team match, which just didn't need to be needed. Matt Riddle and Lucha House Party of Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado taking on Baron Corbin and the tag team champions Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Can we please get Baron Corbin off TV? Can we please have a King of the Ring tournament where he is no longer the king? Please. And I'm sorry, I can't stand Matt Riddle. Okay, I don't. He's a great athlete. Nothing away from his athletic ability, but the bro, stop. Okay, Jeff Spicoli called from the mid 1980s. He wants his gimmick back. All right, Fast Times at Ridgemont High wants their character back, please. Okay, you had that horrible match, And then you've got you've got Sheamus squashing Chad Gable. Can we please just go back to calling him Chad Gable? Please stop the Shorty G thing. And Sheamus is no longer the Celtic Warrior, okay? He's some sort of an Irish brawler. He's a guy that comes out of a pub in Ireland. Can we stop calling him the Celtic Warrior, please? Now, that, the nice thing coming out of that, I'm sorry, it's my allergies kicking in here. The great thing to come out of that match, at least, was the Falls Count Anywhere brawl between Sheamus and Big E next week, which has been building for, good grief, what is it, 5-6 weeks now? And we finally get to see them in action together. I'm excited for that one. And then the main event, good grief. The main event, hang on a second. The main event was for the Intercontinental title. Sami Zayn, who is another guy, I just can't stand Sami Zayn. I've never been a fan of his, even going back to NXT. I didn't know any of his work on the independents as El Generico. I've never been a fan of his. I don't like him. I'm sorry. I just don't. Against Jeff Hardy for the IC title. Somewhere early in the match, one of the turnbuckles comes off. It's exposed. Why the referee didn't go to fix it, I don't know if that turnbuckle pad just got thrown off somewhere into the Thunderdome. Who the heck knows? It was a good match, but do we really need these two again? I don't know. And yes, I know I didn't talk about Jey Uso and AJ Styles. It's great to see Jey Uso get a win over a former champion. But did AJ Styles really need to be the guy that had to take the L there? I think he's on his way out. I think AJ's got to be near the top of the list of guys to get drafted to Raw. I'm going to talk about the draft in just a minute here. So this was a really bad week of WWE main roster programming. A few positive things. Again, Raw was just abysmal. SmackDown had Alexa Bliss and The Fiend and KO, and it had Roman Reigns, Jey Uso again. Beyond that, and let me talk about Carmella. Who cares? You've got these vignettes. Who cares? She's changing her character. It's not going to last long. Nobody gives a damn about her. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say anything else about it. The saving grace for this week is going to be NXT and NXT TakeOver. They had a great TakeOver Go Home show on sorry, I'm checking my TikTok here as I'm getting updates from my TikTok. Let's see what people are content. Oh, somebody actually liked SmackDown. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. I mean, it was okay, but two promo segments cannot save a show. And that's what it was. It was two promo segments that were better than everything else on the show. But NXT TakeOver 31, this has the potential to be a really fantastic show. And I'm sorry, my camera's acting up again. All right, so we're going to take a look at this. Might be the lighting. I'm not sure. We'll see. All right. So the only non-championship match right now, they have announced 5 matches for NXT TakeOver 31. Kushita versus Velveteen Dream. This is going to be a really good match. Velveteen Dream's another one of those guys I'm not a huge fan of because I feel he's sloppy and reckless in the ring. I really do. And that's why he hasn't gotten a main card call-up, a main roster call-up. Taking on Kushita, who is now showing a more evil, devious side. And they need to do something with Kushita. This guy is super talented. And yes, I know he was out with an injury for a while, but he's a guy that really they just haven't done much of anything with. I see Kushita picking up the win here. Velveteen Dream, I don't know. He's just kind of lingering there. I don't know what's going to happen. He may get a main roster call-up, go over to SmackDown. I don't know, but Kushita is going to get the win. First of the title matches, the NXT Cruiserweight Championship match. Santos Escobar, the champion, taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott. We know the story that Isaiah Swerve Scott is the only wrestler in NXT that has gotten a victory, a pinfall victory, over Santos Escobar. I'd like to see Swerve win this title. But quite honestly, they are not done with the Santos Escobar, Legado del Fantasma, that trio ruling the cruiserweight division. I see Legado del Fantasma getting involved in this match and costing Isaiah Swerve Scott. Santos Escobar is going to retain the title. The next two matches, boy, I'm having a hard time with all three of the main title matches. You've got the NXT North American Championship, the champion Damian Priest defending against Johnny Gargano. Gargano and his wife Candice LeRae really pushing for the whole, the Gargano way. The Gargano family is going to have all the gold and rule NXT. Damian Priest has been a very interesting North American champion since winning the title, turning full face. Has been a fun character. My fear here is that Vince has fallen in love with this character and he's going to want to bring him up to the main roster. That is really, really annoying. I can't move or that camera will autofocus. I don't think Damian Priest's time as the North American champion should be done yet. I think he needs to have a nice extended run as the champion because he just won the title not that long ago. But again, I see Vince wanting him called up to the main roster because he's a big, good-looking, charismatic guy, and Vince is going to want that on the main roster. So against my better judgment here, I'm going to go with Johnny Gargano winning the North American Championship again. Io Shirai, Candice LeRae, NXT Women's Championship match. Again, this is one I don't think Io Shirai should drop the belt yet. I think there's more that can be done here. But there's the whole narrative of Gargano and LeRae wanting to be the first husband and wife couple to have gold in NXT. And Johnny obviously is not going for the NXT Championship right now. What I can see happening here, I wouldn't be surprised if they give Candice LeRae the belt, but I don't think it's going to happen because here is where we are going to see the mysterious return of the person in green, talking about being a former champion and paper champion since then. Everybody's been talking about it's got to be Bo Dallas. It's got to be Bo Dallas. No, it doesn't. His character on the main roster completely destroyed everything that he accomplished in NXT. I believe, and I'm hoping, it's a returning Ember Moon. Ember Moon, who didn't get any love on the main roster due to injuries and whatever else, was great in NXT. I'd love to see her come back and either she is going to cost Candice LeRae the championship or Io Shirai is going to win and Ember Moon comes back and gets in her face. Or if Candice LeRae wins, the first contender is going to be Ember Moon. So who am I picking in this match? If Johnny Gargano wins the North American Championship, you'd have to think Candice LeRae wins here. And really, it comes down to what order of these matches are they going to go in. I see Io Shirai, Candice LeRae, that NXT Women's Championship match, being the buffer between the North American Championship and the NXT Championship. They're not going to have the men's championships go back-to-back. So if Gargano does win, as I predicted, I think Candice LeRae is going to win the title for the first time. And then you've got the main event, a dream match. Finn Balor defending the NXT Championship against Kyle O'Reilly of the Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly winning that gauntlet match to become the number one contender and was pleasantly surprised that this happened. And the fact that Adam Cole, minus making an appearance this last Wednesday in a match against Austin Theory to kind of defend the name of Kyle O'Reilly, has not been seen. He's been very quiet for the last over month. This is going to be a fantastic match. I really hope they give them at least a half an hour. If there's only 5 matches on this card, I could see this match going 45 minutes. And I would absolutely love it because you've got 2 of the most physically gifted wrestlers in the world going head-to-head for the NXT Championship. I would like to see Bobby Fish, Roddy Strong come out at some point in time, and Kyle O'Reilly turns and looks at him like, hey, I love you guys. You're my UE brothers, but I need to do this myself. Because the report came out a couple of days ago that Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole are being pushed as the, 2 of the bigger babyface, competitors on NXT. And what could end up happening here is you've got Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly as baby faces in the UE. You've got Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong, who will most likely be contending for Breezango's NXT Tag Team Championships. They will be the heels. And you're going to see kind of a rift in the group. Who's going to take charge? Will somebody else come in? Will it be a split between O'Reilly and Cole? Or is somebody else going to come in? I see somebody else coming in and taking over the leadership of the UE. And it could be somebody from the main roster coming down. I don't know. Again, much like Damian Priest, I don't think it's his time to lose the belt. I don't think Finn Balor is going to drop the belt here because he just regained that title. He just got it back. And to take it off of him so soon. Now, granted, everything got thrown up in the air when Karrion Kross got hurt when he won the title. Much like when Finn Balor won the Universal title and the next night had to give it up because of an injury. That throws all the booking out the door. You have to have everything else created differently. I don't think it's Finn Balor's time to drop it. There's so many more things he can do right now. So I see Finn Balor retaining. So if you take a look at it, again, I was kind of wishy-washy on a lot of this stuff. Even I may change my mind leading up to the beginning of the show, but I've got it here on the stream. I'm saying Santos Escobar retains, Johnny Gargano, new NXT North American champion, Candice LeRae, new NXT Women's champion, Finn Balor retains as the NXT champion. But this is going to be an absolutely phenomenal show and is really going to open the door to the next level of what's going to happen, because we don't know coming out of this show and going into NXT on Wednesday night, is NXT going to be involved in the draft? There hasn't been any talks about it. Could it be announced on Wednesday night by either Triple H or Steven Regal that, hey, now wait a second, we're going to be involved in this too. NXT, we're not the little sister anymore. We're right there with SmackDown and Raw. We want to be involved in the draft. If that happens, boy, all the cards are off the table then. Be very interesting to see how things transpire. This is going to be a very interesting week starting tomorrow night in WWE. Raw is a show that I don't know. I mean, what can you really do going into the draft? The way they should have done this, I mentioned this on TikTok, was you save the draft until after Survivor Series. You build up everything you've got going on right now. You wrap up some storylines at Survivor Series, and then that following Monday night, the draft starts. You don't start it on SmackDown. You start it on Raw. Then you start building towards the Royal Rumble, which is the beginning of the road to WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. Doing it the way they're doing it now, 2 weeks before Hell in a Cell, you're leaving Raw as kind of a lame duck show, which, based on what happened last week, Lord only knows what's going to happen this week. You can't really build any storylines to Hell in a Cell because guys could be moving. And let's take a look at the draft. I'm going to talk about this real quick. I think I'm going to do a detailed video on this later, but based on what's happening at Hell in a Cell, you're not moving Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. You're not moving Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. You're not moving Sasha and Bayley. You're not going to move oh, Flying Ferret. Okay, so let me answer that real quick. Early on in the match, Sammy took off one of the turnbuckle pads, so there was an exposed turnbuckle. If you don't mind me spoiling, if you didn't watch it last night, Jeff Hardy goes up at the end of the match to up to the top rope. Looked like he was going to do a whisper in the wind, and Sammy pulls his leg. Jeff drops down, hits his head on the exposed turnbuckle, gets knocked out. Sammy goes for the cover, and end of match. That's it. So it was cheating in a way. I am so sorry about this camera. I have got to get this fixed. That is driving me nuts. So back to what I was saying about the draft. You know, you're not going to move Seth Rollins, though what could be interesting with the whole Seth Rollins, Murphy, Dominic Ray, Aaliyah storyline, what if you draft Ray to SmackDown? Ray goes over to SmackDown. Dominic is left all by himself against Seth and Murphy. That could be big. I don't really see, I had mentioned it earlier on in this broadcast that I see AJ Styles possibly being the biggest name moving. I see maybe an AJ Styles, Keith Lee flop. Maybe Baron Corbin moving to Raw. Get him away from Matt Riddle. They're going to do something stupid where they break up Tucker and Otis. Because I don't know, they haven't announced, is it going to be established tag teams move together, or they could split up tag teams? So could we see Kofi Kingston get drafted to Raw? Big E get drafted to Raw? Do we even have any tag teams on, minus the Street Profits? And I think we'll see Angel Garza get drafted to SmackDown. Though I would love to see Andrade go over to SmackDown. Hurt Business, they're obviously not going to break them up. Apollo Crews will most likely get drafted to SmackDown. Get him away from Bobby Lashley. Really, I'm going to have to really study over the next couple of days, take a look at the breakdowns of every roster, each roster, and who is likely to move. I see at most 10 superstars from each brand moving. There's going to have to be one major shock. If you move, they're not moving Roman. They're definitely not moving Roman. If they move Drew, then he's dropping the belt at Hell in a Cell to Randy Orton. That's going to happen. Could Jimmy Uso get traded even though he's injured? Could Jimmy Uso get traded to Raw? Who knows? John Morrison, I see Miz and Morrison splitting up. Morrison going to Raw, which really would be helpful to him. I mean, right now, he is just stuck looking like an absolute clown right now, the second fiddle to the Miz, and he's so much of a better talent than this. I don't know. Again, I just think the timing of the draft is absolutely abysmal. Do it after Survivor Series. It could be a hard reset for everything. The last thing I want to talk about real quick is SmackDown this coming week. We already know it's going to be Otis going to court against The Miz, which they're probably going to drag that out for the entire doggone show. This is going to be terrible. But why on earth are you announcing that Sasha Banks is going to challenge Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title on SmackDown? I still think having it at Hell in a Cell is a mistake. Why not push that out until Survivor Series or Royal Rumble? I would have loved to have seen her return really play up the injuries and have her return at Survivor Series to either cost, to a DQ win for Bayley against whoever, or she comes in after Bayley retains. Now, maybe they're fast tracking this because of what happened with Nikki Cross. Does Nikki Cross still get a championship title match? She's technically the #1 contender. Does she get an opportunity in a week's time? Maybe that's what it could be, is Nikki Cross comes back this coming Friday and attacks them both, which would be stupid. But the way WWE is getting booked right now, hey, anything is possible, right? Really, anything is possible. All right, I went a lot longer with this than I thought I would. My goodness. Flying Fair, thank you very much. Obviously, you're following me on TikTok, so I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I'm guessing the link worked okay. I'm pretty new to this, the whole YouTube thing, so I didn't know how that link was going to work. I'm going to work on that. If you happen to come across this, please give me a subscribe here. Would greatly appreciate it. Content's going to be going up. I'm going to be posting some smaller things throughout the week, and we'll do one bigger weekly show to kind of wrap things up. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to work on talking more about AEW and some other things. Right now with my schedule, I just don't have the time to sit down and watch and break down AEW. Watching Raw, NXT, and SmackDown is difficult enough as it is right now, and adding in another 2 hours with AEW is just really hard. I have to give credit, and I want to give thanks to the guys at WrestleTalk. If you do not follow them, please go give them a subscribe. Ollie Davis, Luke Owen, Lori Blake, Pete Quinnell, Andy Datson, just everybody over there. An absolutely fantastic group. I get a lot of my news and information from them. They're based over in England. Love what those guys do. Love WrestleTalk. So if you get a chance to go subscribe to them, please do. I don't get anything in return for it. I'm just a fan of theirs and want them to get to their 1 million subscribers. They're just short of 800,000 right now, and I want to see them get to 1 million. That would be great for them. So please go give WrestleTalk a subscribe. Another guy to follow is Brian Zane, Wrestling with Regret. Regret has a W at the beginning. Another great guy. Absolutely fantastic videos. And excuse me, amazing stuff he does. Please go give him a follow on YouTube as well. You don't have to mention me. Please don't mention that they don't know who I am. I'm just a guy that follows them. So please, if you're not following those guys, please head on over and follow them. You can check me out on TikTok. I do a lot more short form things on TikTok. It's at WrestleScopeTV on TikTok. Would greatly appreciate that. Once I can get to 1,000 followers there, I'm going to be doing lives on TikTok as well. I'm just shy of 500 right now after, good grief, just a little over a month, which is great. Hoping to get to 1,000 by the end of October so I can start doing some lives over there as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is John. This is WrestleScopeTV. Greatly appreciate it. Enjoy NXT TakeOver tomorrow night. I will be doing a short review on TikTok, possibly a review on here tomorrow night. If the show ends early enough, we'll put a review video of NXT TakeOver 31 as well. Let's see. I got a feeling I'm way off on my predictions, but hey, we'll see. It's going to be fun. Enjoy the wrestling. Just keep watching wrestling, okay? I've watched wrestling for almost my entire life. For well over 40 years, I've been through so many different levels of good and bad in professional wrestling, and I still love it. Continue on. So thank you very much for tuning in to WrestleScope TV. I'll be back again soon. Love you guys.